Well, I was gonna ask you if Dr. Umar and both of his wives went into the his
Nah, yo.
wives went into the Squid Games. Which one is he gonna team up with? Like he has to make a
Hey,
decision.
hey, before I even respond, because you know what character I'm thinking of.
Well,
You know exactly what I'm thinking of when you
spoiler
say
alert
that.
again. We about to get into it.
I was about to say let's hit the spoilers real quick.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, listen, man. I honestly I wouldn't even want Dr. Umar to do that because we saw what happened to the character, bro. We saw what happened to my man's. Him and his wife had to play that game,
Oh
bro.
my God,
They
man.
had a, and when you find out like, oh, the purpose of the game is whoever wins. I think it was like episode 7 or episode 8. Oh, whoever wins, the loser dies. And he played the game with his wife, and he won. His wife died. I don't know how that happened. I'm not even going to ask the question as to how it happened, but all I know is that may have been one of the saddest moments in that show because he ended up hanging himself and killing himself in the place after all of that.
So, listeners, both of us have now finished the Squid Games, and yeah, that scene was crazy. I just that whole sequence of events was crazy. My boy, the villain, Sang Woo or Song Woo. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. Loved his part, but that episode when he teamed up with I'm pretty sure his name was Ali. Ali, the kindest character in the show, saved the main character from dying in the first episode, got betrayed and shot and walked around with rocks around his neck for like 10 solid minutes looking for two old people who didn't exist. Gullible as fuck. He was so gullible. To me, it was kind of funny because I was like, damn. As soon as he walked away, I was like, he's about to die. I was like, there's no help for him. Saying woo. I was like, oh, he's dead, yo.
And the wild part is that this is the part that messed me up the most in that scene was that it just showed you how, like it kind of shows you how Sang Woo got himself into playing these Squid Games, but it also shows you like, yo, why this guy has his personal issues out. Because if you pay attention to a lot of the show, right, some of the issues that they deal with outside that got them to play in the Squid Games are some of the issues as to why they are how is kind of shows to how they're competing. Like that guy, like Ali.
Well,
he was going to his boss for money, and then his boss wouldn't give him his money or whatever. So, but clearly he was going off of, oh, well, you told me last week. And what happens? Oh, I'm going to give you your stones. I'm going to give you I'm going to give you your marbles, quote unquote. And he takes the marbles. He holds it in his hand just to check to make sure it has weight, and then just puts it around his neck.
He didn't even check it in his hand, yo. He just put the shit around his neck. He was like, hey, look, carry this around your neck just so you don't get lost. Like he was a puppy, sending him off to get shot behind a shed. That's what he did. Like that's what he did him. He never held it in his hands. He said, I'm gonna put this shit around your neck, go off and look for two old people. Now, mind you.
No, he grabbed it. He did grab it because there's a scene where he does check it after Sangwoo gives him the
see the rocks.
Yeah, he doesn't look inside. He holds it to make sure that that the marbles are actually there. Just to make sure, like, okay, let me make sure you're not trying to get over on me, which made no sense. Bro, if you're gonna, I don't care if it's you. Bro, I'm checking to make sure I got the marbles before I walk off. I'm not even gonna give you, I don't even know why he gave him the marbles in the first place. But go ahead.
It's two things, right? One, going back to what you said before, Ali had one of the most noble reasons for being there out of all of those people. It was like, hey, look, me and my wife are here. We're not supposed to be here. We are trying to get back home. I just assaulted my boss, and he's going to have life-changing injury. If I don't get this money, then I'm going to be very screwed. And to what else you said about the rocks, regardless of that, he sent him out to look for two old people. Before the game started, you could see that there was only one old man. Where was he supposed to find these two other old people at?
The whole show. They were on the only old person on the whole show was the old man, which was crazy. I mean, did you realize how ironic the irony of how Ali, like with his manager, like his boss or whatever, how he messed up his manager's hands, and ironically he's missing fingers himself.
Yeah, that shit was kind of crazy. I was like,
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah,
But
it's like it's a very crazy parallel.
I wasn't mad at it though, man. Like I think the character was written that way for a reason. Obviously he was like out of all these people who had all types of debt from gambling issues and whatnot. Hey, look, I actually need this money to save my wife.
Yeah,
I mean, some of them I had other people to save too and shit, but
yeah, I was gonna say like I was thinking of the I forget the girl's name, but like apparently she's now like the brand ambassador for one of these high end brands. I'm not sure if it's Gucci or Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, it's Louis Vuitton, and I think it's funny that they keep on interviewing her, and I'm not sure how real it is, but it's like these, I would say lesser known rappers, and rappers that I like Maxo Cream, where she was like, yeah, Maxo 187, I love that shit, and I was like, how do you even know about that? I couldn't see that, but you know how shit goes though, because sometimes artists that are lower just hit in other places,
Yeah, I mean that happens a lot. I mean, heck, even like Homeboy that we never talk about. He initially, before he popped here, he was doing tours overseas. Like some rap artists, like you said, Chitty Bang, for instance, they had a buzz in like the UK before they had a buzz over here. But like back to Homegirl, like I forget her name in the show because she was one of the last three. But like her story was like, oh, she watched her father kill her mom, and then she killed her father. And then her brother had to go to an orphanage, and she was trying to get the money for him. And then like she's doing it for a noble reason. The main character, he was doing it for a noble reason.
Yep.
Sung Woo was the only person. He was the only person that's like, okay, you're embezzling money. Now, granted, the old man.
Oh, the old man. Forgot. Almost forgot to talk about the old man.
Oh no, I didn't forget about talking about him because in that episode we're talking about like episode 7, because he played his part the whole show, bro. He played his whole part. You felt sorry for him, and in that 7th episode, it was like it even kind of showed you as to the whole purpose of the show, right? Because you saw how the main character was like, oh, I'm going to pick him just because like he's old. Despite him being old, I'm trying to be a good person out of my heart. But then when it's like, oh, the game comes down to one of us the loser dies, unfortunately, in that marble game. You see where he like at some point he's losing, and the old man is like, he's like, oh, how many did I say? He opened his hand and then was like, how many did you say I had? And he's like, huh? He's like, I didn't hear you. How many? Because he said 3, but it was 2 in his hand. He's like, how many did you say I had? He was like, 2. He's like, oh, well, here's these marbles then. So I thought like, okay, we all know this old dude's got dementia, brain tumor, all of this is sad. It's unfortunate in his situation. But then you realize at the very end of that episode, that's when I realized, yo, he might be in on this whole thing the whole time. Because there's that split second where he's like, but why would you do that to your friend? Because he pretty much called him out like, yo, you've been playing me the whole time. And I've been letting you do this. But we're gambu, so I'm gonna let it ride.
When that happened and I didn't see him actually die because all the other murders were so like, in your face, I was like, okay, maybe something is up. But I didn't think that he was going to be the organizer of the whole thing. What I thought was going to end up happening was something similar to the girl in the game prior to that, where she didn't have a partner and they just took her away for whatever reason. I thought that maybe the organizer and him had some type of connection. I didn't think he was going to be the organizer itself. So I thought that was kind of cool. You know what I mean? Now, my question to you is, do you think they're going to have a season 2 of the show?
Oh, yeah, they have to. I don't know how the season 2, I don't think, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about the season 2. I'm quite sure I'm quite sure season 2's was probably written well before the show came out.
Nope.
He hasn't written season 2 for the show?
Not at all.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Oh,
Hasn't even started. That's what he said. That's what I read, unless I read something wrong. See, the thing is that, he was pitching the show for a long time. It got put out, and then boom, it's here now. But I don't think he actually had a show written, ready to go. He said that if he's going to write a second part, from what I read, he would need a team behind him because he wrote this by himself.
Better be like Tyler Perry, man. Tyler Perry bust. That's why we get the same Tyler Perry movie every time, because he busting them out. He writing them. Well, let me not say every time, but you get the gist of it.
A lot of the time.
You
like
can
80% of the time.
You can tell that there's the same. You can tell the same writer is writing all the Tyler Perry movies, which are hits, and it's because it's Tyler Perry. But back to my man's here. In his situation, I mean, I'm not mad at it, because I think the way the show ends, because I don't really like how the show ends personally.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't like how the show ended, just because to me, I feel like it was because it totally shifts gears, right? And
Okay.
and to me, I feel as though we already know what's going to happen with them, right? Because it's no different. Like this man, the main character, when he was on his way to, I think, what was it? When he was on his way for his daughter's birthday initially, like he had the money. All he had to do was go get her a gift and go buy some fried chicken. He gambled it. He won 400. I think he won like 45.6 million won or whatever it was. His number that he would end up playing, his number 456, which would be his number that he would play in the game. He won that, lost it all. Well, he lost it all because homegirl, she ends up stealing it, but he has to ask for that 10,000 won back, right? There's so much irony in it, because he deviates then and goes and ends up finding himself in these games. And then when he's about to go to his daughter, he finally has the money a year later to go to his daughter to visit her in America. He turns around and says, on some, like he's Liam Neeson, "Oh, I'm on my way. I know this game is not over. I will find you. I want to play again."
I don't have a problem with that, though. I mean,
I don't like it.
The way I see it, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I just didn't. Well, I'm just saying I'm not. There's no thought. I'm just saying I didn't like it. That's all.
Well, I mean, the way I see it is like this, right? I mean, now I was speaking to, Lao Shay, Big Cozy, T Cozy, the tribal chief, and he was saying some stuff about his problem with the story was he did all this shit for his daughter and didn't spend any money on his daughter. And I was like, you got a point about that. I was like, you can't just let the money sit there and not take care of your daughter. And he took care of the other girl's brother, Sang Woo's mother, and just had his daughter chilling over there. I mean, what she was doing fine with her family and whatever, but I kind of understood that point. I guess for me, I don't really have a problem with the ending, because I feel like it can just lead to more of a show. You know what I mean? Like, if it were to go away from that, I think it would, that would be the end of it. And I mean, if the season was only to be one, all this could be one season, but the way it ended lends to another season, which, I mean, they could do like all types of stuff with. But I mean, like, it really all depends, because, this next game's like, would it just be people who competed before? Would he be one person in a room full of new competitors? Like, what would you do? Otherwise, we just have him chilling with his daughter, maybe being spied on, but they don't want nothing to do with him.
Yeah, true. And, well, I won't say they didn't want anything to do with him because he just didn't have money, I think.
No, not that, because when he was riding away from the organization, the front man was like, "Hey, look, you got your money. Be happy. This was like a dream, and forget about this shit."
Yeah, I thought you were saying his daughter.
No, not that.
You were saying like, and even like the front man, like that was even weird, because like he won. I'm guessing he won one of these Squid games,
right?
And he became the front man. So there's a storyline there. We also know like his brother. We don't know if he really killed his brother. He shot him in the arm,
right? But he just could be swam away.
Yeah, like, which is so ironic. Your brother shoots you in the arm, so you shoot him in the arm, but he magically dies, allegedly. Like, So like to me, there's gaps in the story to make for something else. Like just like there's a theory that that the old man and the main and 456 are. It could possibly be that 456 is the old man's son. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on that theory?
I saw that theory. I haven't looked into it like enough, but what I find to be interesting is a lot of people go to this scene in the show where they keep on talking about them, talking about milk. And he's like, oh, yeah, you know, I used to beat my son for not wanting to drink milk. So I went back and watched a scene in the Korean language, and it was like, oh, yeah, my son was similar. And it didn't seem to be so like head on. So I'm curious to know if that's something that was just written for the show or if that scene actually means anything at all. It could and it could not. But I mean, I think there's no way to really tell.
Yeah, well, it's that scene, but also the scene, the episode we've been talking about, episode 7, where when they're walking around, you know how the old man's like, "Oh, this is my." Because I saw this, I heard about that, but I also saw the part where the old man's like, "Oh, this is like my old neighborhood, and my old house was over here." And when he finally got to like where his house was, that's when 456 was like, "Hey, oh, this reminds me. We used to live in something near this. Like the alley reminds me of like where I grew up as a child."
I heard
So
that too.
like,
I thought
yeah,
that was interesting.
yeah. So like, and granted, I mean, there's so much overlap. It's not impossible because it could have came from from what it seems like, the old man probably built himself into wealth. Like just from how it sounded like, oh, like he's just a kid and all of this stuff, and then it's like, oh yeah, as a kid I played, like it seemed like he played so many games as a kid, and when he was youthful, it didn't sound like he came from money. So it seems like he built himself into this wealth, and probably as he got older, similar to not Song Woo, but similar to 456. I don't remember these characters' names to be honest with you.
I just remember Song Woo. That shit was funny.
Yeah, like, and even how that ends, which was like, it was very interesting. I understood why he killed himself, but it was just like, I don't know. After all of that, and Song Woo was trying to let you die, like during the little cookie game, he was like, oh, like
He's like, hey, hey. And then he's like, oh, never mind. He's like, go ahead, man, do your thing.
yeah. And then when Song Woo won, and he still saw a dude was just still there, he just kind of looked at him and then tried. You know how when you trying to avoid someone, you're just like, hey man, hey. Like you're looking down but trying to side eye and wave. That's what that looked like. So
you know the shit that had me dying about. Sorry.
Newport Shorty, man.
Wow. You know the shit that had me dying about saying Woo though, or Song Woo? Towards the end of the show, the female character is dying. I can't remember her name. And the main character is like, hey, you know, she's on the brink of death. She's on the brink of death. He looks back. They're carrying the box. He's like already over her body, stabbed her up. He's like, look, man, like, let's get this shit on. He's like, where's the money?
Yo, that was a crazy part to me because I'm like, I was like, you just got a taste for blood. Like you could tell at some point it was just like, I know why you're here. I see exactly why you're here. And because he's smart. He's smart. He knows how to move. He knows when to be quiet. But at the same time, his smartness is the same thing that got him into the same situations that he's in.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, you don't know when to chill. Because even at that point, it's like, oh, sure, she's dying. She's bleeding out. Your best friend is knocking on the door like, please, someone help her. You just go over there politely and say, let me just, it's not even like he just did something slight. Like you can tell he's got blood all over him. And I'm like, this is crazy. It's like, it's like, you're a killer. You're just a killer at this point.
Well, he pushed the dude off the glass too. He was like, man, I can't figure it out. I'm trying to figure out. He's like, man, fuck that. He's like, are we crossing the shit or not, y'all? He's like, if y'all want to come along, y'all come with me. And that was pretty much it. Yeah. Sang-woo, I like his character. I like the villains. I'm always liking the villains.
Hill Jackson.
You already know how it goes, man.
Hill approved.